We see this as part of our civic duty and civic rent. Essentially paying our price and being invested in downtown Orlando is smart for us. We have a lot of cast members and guests who live in downtown Orlando, and it just makes sense for us to be very involved.
The Paramore Kidz Zone is all about impact. And if you want impact, you need to volunteer, you need to donate, or you need to be involved with the Paramore Kidz Zone.
We want to make sure that children are ready to go into an education that will take them into math and science. We are finding that we're having some challenges hiring the people coming out of college who are qualified in math and science, especially engineering, architecture, environmental sciences, to fill our needs.
I would like for the children of Paramore to be able to be brought up with that whole idea that their own life can change if somebody cares enough to invest in them, just like we're investing in this community.
Economists will tell you that most people invest either in boosting consumerism or in human capital. Well, children are our human capital. And you're talking about the children of an important heritage neighborhood in Central Florida. So making an investment in those kids for the future is a critical component both of economic impact, societal impact, social capital. So for us, it's kind of a no-brainer. As a foundation that invests in the well-being of the community, this is the right place to put money at the right time.
Everyone knows that the children are our future. And with the, this is tough to say, but the disintegration, if you will, of the family and how the family has changed. I mean, people have to step up to do things that, you know, normally the parental guidance would provide. And somebody has to be there for our kids because they are our future.
To take something that we found as a benchmark to be able to improve the lives of children. You improve the lives of children, I mean that you are going to have adults who are responsible, capable, and understand things in the world in which they live. So these are the reasons why we need to focus and help children and the education process.
I want every child to be able to experience what my kids experience and have the opportunities that I have. And so by giving time or talent or whatever to other children, hopefully will instill in them some of the values and desires that I had, the values that I have, desires that I did have, and that they will benefit from those.
Kids are coming to us believing in themselves. They're coming to us believing that they can attend University of Florida or Cornell or Florida A&M University. And the partnership is crucial for the success of the kids in the Paramore area because now the kids are dreaming. One thing that's missing today is that we have a lot of kids that have stopped dreaming and they've stopped believing that they could be a Michael Jordan or that they could become a teacher, they could become a doctor. That's why this program is so crucial because you all have provided or you provide these kids with role models that are instilling in these kids that you can be whatever you want to be. And that's what's missing from a lot of communities, programs such as this, which basically is instilling in our kids that we believe in you, we know you can do it, there's no excuse, there are no excuses. And at the same time, we have more kids from the Paramore area going to college, or at least thinking or dreaming that they can go to college. And that's why I think this program is so crucial for us. It evens the playing field for these kids.
It distresses me that so many of us live in our little cocoons, and that area is experiencing reading the paper today, 700,000 children in the metro area are living in poverty. Many of those, a vast preponderance of the people in the Paramore area are living in poverty.
You know, the PKZ has a life skills that we actually, every Saturday from 1 to 3, we actually have life skills, and we touch on every basis it is. I mean, when young adults starts coming up, and at the same time, the young adults just want a voice. They want to be heard.
Investing in local children makes all the sense in the world for us. I mean, with our focus being on children in terms of philanthropy, these are the people we're going to hire one day. These are our future cast members. These are our future guests. It makes sense for us to invest in them early and to do as much as we can to make sure that they're thriving citizens.
If we invest in our children, that is that we're investing in their future, we're investing in their potential, we're helping grow those children to be really good citizens and meet their dreams. They will be the people that we want to hire, that we want to have in our community, and really grow our community and grow our business.
I grew up in Orlando. I was born here, and I can remember the Paramore area as being a vital, living community of people who cared about each other, who felt safe, who felt comfortable, who were succeeding. And now that that's changed, I think I'd like to see it get back to the way it used to be. And if that's not possible, at least be able to direct our resources to the kids so they have a chance and can achieve everything they ought to be able to achieve in life. I'm passionate about that.
There are some teens over there now working on a program, a video documentary about how they are going to realize the dream. And just think how important that's going to be to see and to show kids younger than them how it actually worked, that they realize the dream.
It's one thing to get on the bus and to go someplace, but unless you really are able to get outside of that bus route, to get out of your neighborhood, to see that people live differently, that there are other options for you. For me, it was being able to get outside of my kind of crowded little neighborhood and see natural areas.
It's heartening because we know that not every child can afford to go to our company. That's why we give the theme park tickets to free to so many, and why we do invest cash and in-kind contributions and volunteer time, most importantly. We have 63,000 cast members. Getting them engaged in volunteering with students and kids in their community makes a huge difference in just strengthening the fabric of our community. And I think for the most part, you feel good about volunteering in this area because you see the difference. If you reach one kid, one child, it makes a huge difference in the community, and it brings more volunteers into it, brings more money into it, brings more passion into it, and people start to believe that things can happen. Doesn't matter sort of what your background is, it's all about potential and believing in those children so they can reach their full potential.
Well, for 35 years, the Edith Bush Charitable Foundation's been all about helping people help themselves, and the Paramore Kidz Zone is all about helping people help themselves, but it's also a new idea. It's about collaboration, not competition. It's about accountability, not avoidance. It's about Orlando, and Orlando's all about kids.
Trying to figure out the right way to impact a child's life is more difficult when you're working one child at a time. But when you have a holistic approach in a community in which you've identified a few less than 2,000 kids who you can have an impact on with a single investment, then that's drawn lots of people to collaborate in this investment to make it work. Secondarily, why children? If you're going to change the scope of a neighborhood, change the scope of a city, of a full community, investing in children is the place to do it. And the outcome, the impact from these investments will be seen over the next 30 to 40 years.
Me and my wife, when we started doing this, when we created CCSI, we said, okay, let's do this in this manner. But let's also, again, let people understand this is what we want to present to the PKZ, the Paramore Kidz Zone, to where the kids now can be brought in. And like I said to you, from 3 to 4 kids to 30 kids, and it's even growing. And it's, and we see this little list, and then we had to add 2 sheets, and we're going to 3 sheets now. So it's definitely a positive positive reaction to it.
That's something that businesses, I think, could really understand, how when they invest in something like Paramore Kidz Zone, that they really are connected and affecting something that they would never understand. And it goes both ways. It's one thing for a kid in the Paramore neighborhood to get out and see what's out in the world outside of this one little zip code. It's another thing for somebody perhaps who lives in Windermere to come understand what the world is like in the zip code that's in Paramore. And I think when you see that, and when you understand that that connection goes both ways, that you're more likely to give as an individual, as a business, and really understand that you're truly affecting lives. And you might not see that effect. You know, you might move to another city before you really see that effect, but it's there.
Right. The Paramore area is where a lot of the kids that are at Jones High School, or at, in fact, all of the high schools, middle schools and elementary schools in Orange County, it's an impoverished area. It's an area where the majority of the kids are being raised by grandmother or mother. Father may be incarcerated. So it's an area where the kids have a lot of obstacles to overcome. It's an area where kids often aren't pushed to be the best that they can be. And it's an area where we've got to go in and instill in the parents, the grandparents, the aunts, or whoever's raising these kids, that as a family, as a team, as a village, that it can be done. But it's the job of everybody to do that. And that's why I like the program that we have here, because it creates a village for the Paramore area. It's difficult, it's tough, it's a tough area. But at the same time, as long as we have programs such as this that provides mentors and tutors, and as long as they bring speakers in to remind these kids that you can be whatever you want to be, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a firefighter, whatever you like to be, or the mayor of Orlando. It's all about your belief. And that's how this program is so important and crucial to these kids, because at that age, the kids still believe they can be whatever they want to be. Yes, it's a tough area. Yes, the kids have a lot of obstacles to overcome. Yes, they see things that you and I can never imagine. But at the same time, we've got to create in these kids that you can be whatever you want to be. We've got to instill in these kids that if you stay on the right path, if you stay away from crime, if you stay away from what you see is not right, whether it's in the Paramore area, whether it's in the Orange Center area, wherever it may be, that if you stay on the right path, you can be whatever you want to be.
The PKZ program is unique because it is a compilation of several programs. It has the ability to work together with programs that already exist, ones that have been successful, ones that have not reached their potential or had not reached their potential. So this is the opportunity that we have, sort of creating this community network that allows each of the programs to focus on what they do best. So whether it's the arts program, to be able to support that, or a computer program, or an after-school program, those programs are now being able to sustain themselves and to reach out to the children and the families in Paramore because they're getting the proper assistance, support, and ability to be able to focus.
Get engaged. I think we get so busy with our lives that sometimes we don't realize that we need to stay engaged with children, not only our own, but all the children in the community. And I think by doing that and really stepping up, you can make a difference in this community.
Investing your business dollars in helping our children reach their potential, and then also investing our time, you know, mentoring programs, and we've got that through the Paramore Kidz Zone, being involved in those community programs. There's a whole array that adults can do to make sure that our community will encourage all of our children to reach their potential.
Well, it is a cliche to say our children are our future, but they are, and if we ignore them, we're just going to reap the same things we're reaping today. More jails, more juvenile delinquency, more teen pregnancy, all the things that we want to have less of. And children is where it is. And I think everybody recognizes that. It's just it doesn't seem to translate into action on everybody's part. And I don't think the problem's going to be solved unless everybody gets involved. And that's what I would hope we can do.
One thing, it works. There are so few models out there that aren't experiments, and this is far from an experiment. This is using tested procedures, tested programs, tested concepts, and it's a collaboration between all three sectors. The public sector is there with its steady hand making certain that the programs are executed appropriately. You've got the private sector investing not just money but also time and in-kind contributions. And then you've got the nonprofit sector that brings to the table the programmatic components that make it work. So if you're thinking about making an investment in something, you can either choose to make a single investment for a single person or for a single mission, or you could make an investment in a portfolio like this one that's clearly working and has long-term impact.
Where we provide our associates the opportunity to volunteer during work time, a certain number of hours during a week to give back to the community. And our associates take pride in that. Again, it's not a monetary something that they're doing, but they are absolutely having the opportunity to volunteer, hands-on, make a difference in the communities. So between our team, Bank of America volunteer hours in the state of Florida, I believe last year we had something close to 50,000 volunteer hours from our associates. So between those hours and then the corporate commitment from our philanthropy budget that we have, we are hopefully helping to make the American dream come true.
The collaborations are extensive and community-wide. They include government and the vision that the mayor has and the city council has. It brings in the private sector like Universal and the Orlando Magic, and it brings in philanthropy like the Edith Bush Charitable Foundation and many, many others.
It takes a village. It takes everybody, and the success of the kids from the Paramore area is a success for everybody, because to me it's our goal, it's our job, it's our responsibility to make sure everybody's successful, whether they're from Paramore, whether they're from Dr. Phillips, whether they're from Winter Park. It doesn't matter where these kids are from. It's our job to make sure everybody is successful. So it's our job to make sure everybody believes in themselves. And that's our job, that's our responsibility. I think the problem is too many people are saying, that's not my problem, that's not my issue. And that's why we're having some of the problems that we're having. And I'll say it over and over again, that's how this program evens the playing field. They're bringing people in from outside of the community that are saying, what can I do? What do you need? How can I help you? How can I assist you? And that's why this program is so successful.
That we're doing here. But I think my personal vision would be that the children of this community recognize that there is an opportunity and that there is access to what they need in order to be successful in their lives. And there are so few opportunities for that to happen. The Paramore Kidz Zone project is a great example of one that works. And so my vision would be that this would not only work in Paramore, but that we would see this as a model and a way to impact children's lives across the region.
You know, what are the things they want to do? They don't want to get in trouble. They want after-school jobs. They want to be able to go to different places. Just the thing young 17, 15-year-old adults do.
Opportunities in education we provide from a teaching standpoint. Bank of America provides financial training to students. We have programs in existence to help parents be able to teach their students about finances.
To see when the return on investment is. It's much different than physically seeing a building go up. It's about the redeveloping the lives of the children in this community. So you're not going to see the outcomes that one would expect from simply taking some vacant land and putting up a new building. But what you can expect to see is a redevelopment, a revitalization of simply the heart, body and soul of the children in Paramore. And we've done that already with a series of firsts for many children, their first time to go to a summer camp, their first time in a real formal after-school program, their first time and perhaps going on an overnight trip to visit a college campus. And all these firsts create these memories or these opportunities in seeing what's available for the future. And so those are the things that are going to impact the future of Paramore.
It's always important to take a look at what you're investing in and whether or not it's working, and measure it, and we do. And we started seeing the good results from Paramore Kidz Zone very early, and knew the potential this program had in downtown Orlando and in surrounding communities, and just made all the sense in the world for us to keep investing volunteer time, cash, in-kind donations, you name it, tickets, experiences, to help those children thrive. So we know it's important to measure. We saw the measurements early. We didn't have to wait around and sort of analyze the data before we really got engaged, and we just know we're involved in a very good, solid program.
And as a business, you know, especially PBS&J, we're engineering, we're all about numbers and outcomes. We want to be able to see what are our dollars doing in a particular community. And we know at the end of 3-5 years, we are going to have a report with some measurable outcomes. So that's something that we really like to see.
We have a choice. To ignore it is to say we don't care, and then we don't care about our city. And they're a big part of our city.
For Universal Orlando, rather than a shotgun approach to philanthropy, we want to drill down and to make sure that whatever we do philanthropically is going to make a difference, and a measurable difference. And we see that in Paramore. We see that.
They need to be exposed to things, and when they live in a limited community with nothing going on to excite their brain or to stretch them or to even give them a vocabulary to begin to read later on, they're handicapped from the get-go. And why do we want to lose a single child? If the Paramore Kidz Zone project only saves, and I use that word euphemistically, 200 children, that's 200 that would have been lost. So whatever success it can evidence when the demonstration, part of it, when the project is officially over, but I hope it's really just beginning at that point. And that's where the community's got to step in.
Well, my vision is the same vision that the mayor, the city council, and the vision of any parent would have for their children. It's not just about the special children that beat the odds. It's about changing the odds for all of our children.
If you study this kind of activity, the literature is clear that investment in children works, but investment in children early in their lives is what makes the difference. And what so often we do is we wait for the problem to occur, and then we have a crisis kind of attack mechanism. Not only does that cost more money, but it tends to fix a single problem instead of the holistic problem of how to motivate a child to be successful throughout the rest of their lives. The Paramore Kidz Zone has such a variety of things for kids to participate in. And one of the things that struck me early on is the kids that experimented with things that they might never have had an opportunity to try, and that has now sparked them to be more creative or to follow a learning path that they might not have had access to. Sparking a child younger in life is less expensive and more productive than waiting for them to evolve into a problem that then there may not be a solution for, but will cost a lot of money. And so the Paramore Kidz Zone is not only a proactive solution to this, but I think it's more a model for communities of the future, a model for how the community can come together to create that village that really makes a difference for the children who live there.
The whole concept of Paramore Kidz Zone is a phenomenal one. When I first learned about it, when I met in 2006, and then did some research on the program on which it's based and the potential for the program, it was very exciting. And that now that we are going into almost year 3 of the program, I am very pleased that the program is still going, and look forward to the other, or to future years of continued success for the program, because it is making a difference in our community.
In education now for 19 years. So from day one, you meet one, you talk with one kid, or you spend time with one kid from the Paramore area, and you realize that they're no different than anybody else. The only difference is they may be raised by a grandmother who's tired, and who's also raised 4 or 5 other kids. Or they may be in a situation where the father is in jail. They may be in a situation where they're being raised in the foster home. Every child wants to be successful. Every child wants to do the right thing. They just may not be in a situation to where they're being taught, pushed, or being mentored to do the right thing. But kids aren't any different than anybody else. And that's why it's our job to make sure that these kids are getting the mentoring part of it, that they're part of the summer camp, that they're getting the correct tutoring that they need. If we put everything in place, if we put the correct village in place, then every child will be successful. We lose kids because a lot of times these programs aren't in place, or maybe the kids may not be taking advantage of it. But it's our job, it's our responsibility. And you meet one child from the Paramore area. And believe me, you want to give everything you have to make sure that child's successful.
Community is integral to Orlando. Talked about it for a number of years, number of decades, literally, when we look at the revitalization efforts in there. And I think this is the most holistic approach with respect to infrastructure, to the social programs, or just simply the educational programs, in terms of being able to uplift the entire community. And that ability to do that is going to be critical to the future success of Orlando.
Well, the Paramore Kidz Zone is all about collaboration. And today, business, government, and philanthropy can't accomplish what they need to accomplish unless we collaborate. And we need to collaborate from the grassroots up and from top down. And that's the only way we're going to be a successful community and have successful children.
You know, I would have to totally give the credit for that compassion that has been instilled in me for children to my mom and dad. I mean, they're just an incredible role model. We just celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary. And I mean, that's all I can tell you about that. As it relates to why we stepped up right away for the Paramore Kidz Zone was the fact that, I mean, I'm a very strong believer in not reinventing the wheel. And you found a wonderful model that you were able to bring to this community that we know worked in New York, and it's going to work here. It is working here. And I had faith from the very, very beginning that Universal Orlando could make a difference here.
We give in cash, in-kind donations, and volunteerism, but we can't do it alone. And if there's somebody who has a passion about children thriving and growing and really fulfilling their full potential, I'd urge anybody to get on board. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world to not just rely on one company locally or just a few locally or a few local philanthropists, but to get everybody involved. Because if we're all rowing in the same direction, I think at the end of the day, you put together a great program that's going to change the future of Central Florida.
Well, if you think about it, most of social services for children revolve around identifying people with a need and then delivering that need. So if you're hungry, if you need education, if you need access to assistance after school programs, we have lots of very good programs that focus in those specific kinds of missions. But it's not the usual impact that we draw all of those together into a single approach so that we can solve a multitude of problems at the same time. Instead of solving the crisis problem and then hoping another one doesn't come along, what this program really does proactively is allow children access to everything they need in a one-stop shop, so to speak. The ability for them to identify what they're interested in and then measured before and after to see what the impact of that experience has been for them. So I think on one side you can see the measurement, you can see the statistics that indicate success is happening in the programmatic areas, but maybe more importantly you're seeing the enthusiasm of children that maybe for the first time now have found a way that they can live a life that isn't anything like what they had experienced in the past, and it gives them a visionary approach to see what life might offer them beyond where they are today.
You invest in one area, and if at the end of that time period you are not seeing returns on your investment, you decide to put your investment elsewhere. This is a program that allows you to see returns on your investment.
Well, let's talk for a minute in economic terms about social investing. Most of us as social investors want to do good. We want to help somebody when we give money. But most of us also want to make certain that we've done something important beyond just helping a group of people. We want to see the social needle move, if you will. The Paramore Kidz Zone is a great opportunity to do that because you get both. You get outcomes. So we can measure the number of children this program has touched. We can measure the before and after impact that it's had on them. But more importantly, you can see as a holistic approach, you can see holistically how the community is changing over time and the impact that you're having. So as an investor in a project like this, it not only would warm your heart to do this, but it would give you a pure return on investment that you don't normally find when you make gifts to programs and services in the nonprofit sector.
The teachers from Jones High School would actually leave school, leave their job, and actually go down to the Paramore area to mentor and tutor the kids from the Paramore area. They loved it. They love interacting with the kids. And at the same time, we had the brothers and the sisters anyway. So we were already familiar with the students. And at the same time, it helps us because eventually we're going to get those kids. I'm going to be in charge of making sure those kids finish college. Eventually, I'll be in charge of making sure those kids are getting the correct educational tools that they need to be successful. So for us, it's a win-win because we're meeting our future early. And our kids love our teachers, and our teachers love the kids at the Paramore area.
I don't think anybody's a throwaway kid, even when they're in high school and flunking out. I think we have to find what their passion is, what they feel that they can succeed at. And they won't all go to college. It's at some point. I think it's unrealistic to expect that. But I think it's wonderful that the parents in the Paramore community, most of them think their children will. They have expectations for them. They just don't all know how, don't have the time, don't have the resources to help them to do those things. But I think we need to give them options for success.
That ability to do that is going to be critical to the future success of Orlando. We do not want to have children left behind. Literally, the fact that we have children who live almost in a different world, if you will, but are only a few blocks from the things that are being done with the venues, things that are being done in downtown, and they don't see that world, and they need to see that world of opportunity, of hope, and and future education.
Well, I have been in this business for like 25 years, and I mean, one thing that really stands out in my mind, I was at the Citrus Club with Lisa having breakfast, and she needed money for the Sexual Trauma Recovery Center, and she needed $10,000 like now so that we could service these kids. And you know, working for a company like Universal Orlando, I am empowered to be able to say, yeah, I'll write you a check, you'll have it today. And it's a great feeling to know that the company that I work for so values community service leadership and so value what my team is able to do to change the lives of people every single day. There's not a day goes by that someone on my team does not make a difference in somebody's life, and that is such a gift.
Unique about the Children's Kidz Zone is that it's not about economic impact. It's not about government revenue generation. It's not about return on investment. It's all about the kids. And the only question that we need to ask ourselves in a city that's built on the dreams of children, is it good for the kids, and is it good for all of Orlando's kids?
I think some of the best feedback we get is from our employees who are volunteering and there at the program. I mean, they come back with reports of inspiration and making a difference in one child's life that gives you the belief that not only are we investing the cash and the volunteer time or in-kind donations or whatever, but the volunteers come back and say, you got to stay with this program. It's too important not to stay with this program. And so I think that's where we get our best probably measurement. I mean, you could do hard data statistics all day long, but at the end of the day, it's having all of our cast members come back who have done volunteer service with a program, who come back and report to us and say, this is an important program and you can't give it up.
You know, when you look at a community like Orlando, we as individual taxpayers, we as businesses are going to end up paying for failures as well as successes. And the successes, if we invest early, we're more likely to have successes. If we don't invest that money, we are going to end up paying for failures. And those failures are going to be kids who end up in the juvenile justice system, in prison, not having jobs that support them and their families. We're going to end up paying for that. So from a pure business standpoint, do you want to put a few pennies into an investment at this early end and probably get success at the end? Or do you want to save the few pennies that you've got And 20, 30 years down the road, you are going to pay, you know, $7 more on each dollar saved, $10 more for that failure. It really is, we're going to pay one day. Do you want to pay now for success? Do you want to pay later for the failure?
I should say also that something happens in a community when a group of entities come together and invest in a single impact that is measurable over time. And so I think there's a hope and dream that this program will not only continue, but that the impact that it brings will change the lives of these children. So as you look across the platform at the folks that have invested, you've got everybody from single high net worth philanthropists who have said, I want to be a member of this group, I want to be at the table. You've got institutions who have come to the table to say, this is a process that if we can help close the gap, if we can make a difference here, this is worth our smaller investment. You've got foundations that have made large investments here to get this started and to bring other foundations to the table. And then you've got some key corporate sponsors who've come to the table to say, this is more than just helping kids, this is about changing the scope of a neighborhood. And so what you see when you get them all together is you see that the whole is more impactful than all of the small group, because none of them individually could have had this impact, however large their donation was. In this case, they're making an investment together. That leverage is really what's made this successful.
Young people can be on teams when they have their own teen advisory council that can say, this is what we want, this is what we need. When they can talk to each other about the things that are going on, then I think they can begin to feel good about each other and about their community and about the place they hold in it. And I think if they can begin to feel that they can control its future, that's exciting. And if we can help them to do that, we all benefit.
About mentoring the kids, even if they just walk through every now and then to see how great the kids from the Paramore Kids Clubs are. Believe me, you spend 5 minutes at the center, you'll come back. You want to come back because you fall in love with those kids, and you fall in love with the fact that the kids there want to be successful. They want to do the right thing. And they're looking for somebody to say, you are great, you can do whatever you want to do. But to me, it's just spending some time at the center, getting companies or corporations involved, spending some time with the kids, providing, sponsoring an activity, after-school activity for the kids, providing book bags for the kids, whatever the needs are of the kids. Just spend some time down there. You'll figure out quickly what works and what doesn't work.
There is not enough, there are not enough people in this country who are empathetic, who really understand what's going on out here. I mean, people do not know in this community that children go to bed hungry at night, that on the weekends when there is no school, no free and reduced lunch, they go hungry. That's here in Orlando. That is wrong. And we have to fix it. I mean, to think that, again, this community does not realize what the face of homelessness is now. It's not an alcoholic, it's not a drug addict, it is mothers with little children who have no place to live, and they are totally homeless. And I don't think that people understand what that looks like. And I mean, I don't know how you get that word out. I mean, it's not a flavor of the month. When a child has been abused, neglected, tortured, dies, murdered, whatever, it's like big news for a little while, and it goes away. That can't happen. We can't turn our back on our kids.
The most successful programs are all about imagination. It's all about the imagination of a mayor, of a city council, of a community that wants to create a better place. And that better place is Orlando, and we'll have a better place in Paramore because of the Kidz Zone.
We could measure things all day and look at statistics and take long-term, studies of things, but at the end of the day, it is our volunteers that work at the company who come back and report to us how great a program is. They've made a difference in one child's life. They see a huge change in somebody. They've really turned somebody's life around, and they've bought into it. And so they come back with reports to us that essentially convince us that we've got to stay engaged in a program. And so that's our best measurement is basically people have on the ground active volunteering in a program to tell us that it's working.
Decades. When you look at the ability to impact a community at the level we're impacting Paramore through the Paramore Kidz Zone project, you recognize that the leveraged small investments of lots of people together with a common goal can make a key difference. So the ability to impact thousands of kids in this case who have to have some place to be when they're not at home and not at school. But this isn't just a babysitting project. This is the ability to give them something to hold on to, something to learn, something to experience, something to move forward on. And then more importantly, how to invest in that human capital so that as they grow and mature, they have the ability to give back to their communities. You're teaching, at the same time you're providing resources, and then perhaps most importantly, you're sculpting social capital for the future in a way that we've never done before in the history of this community. So while this is an impactful program and a good program, it also is a model for what we should be looking at in the future for the success of not just kids, but the entire community and its quality of life.
I was very lucky that I didn't have school loans, college loans, but through Pell Grants, through scholarships that were funded in part by businesses, I was able to go to college and really change my life from what my family's history had been. So that's why I understand this. Through work that I've done through government, I've seen what happens when you have early investment dollars put to children who really don't have other opportunity. And it's like a little plant who the seed is there, and boy, they want that water and they want that sunshine. And if you put that seed in a good place and give it the water and the nutrients and the sunshine it needs, you got a great harvest.
That we can't afford to ignore Paramore or any community like that because we're all at risk.
The fact that our teachers are down there every day and the relationship piece is already there. That's the biggest part of dealing with kids from the Paramore area, the relationship piece. If they believe that you believe in them and that you trust them and that you think that they can fly, they'll do it. So that relationship piece is already there. So when they walk on our campus, or when their brothers and their sisters walk on our campus, and they'll say, hey, my sister said you tutored her yesterday, or my brother said that they talked with you yesterday. What did y'all talk about? Well, that relationship piece is already built. So when those kids walk into the halls of Jones High School, whether it's 4 years from now, 7 years from now, it's a win-win because we already know them. We know the family. We know the situation. We know what we need to do early before they even walk through our doors to make sure these kids are successful.
I personally had an opportunity to witness or participate in these some of these after-school activities or programs. I've, of course, invested my own money in these programs, and we have seen the smiles on faces. We have seen the products of an award-winning audio or DVD production utilizing the latest technologies with respect to computers and videotape. We have seen the after-school or the backpack program for the before school. So there are so many things that that are going on right now that don't necessarily get the press, don't necessarily get the attention, but are incrementally improving things in Paramore.
You know, to think that there have been little kids that have been sexually abused and they don't have treatment to help them get over that, to help their families get through that, it's a travesty. And we can't let it happen. Just can't let it happen.
I know how blessed I am, and when I did have opportunity through things I was involved with to see those who hadn't had my opportunities, I thought how unfair life is for some people, and just to be born into a family that can provide should not be the criterion for having an opportunity to succeed. And I've just always felt that when one is given a lot, one should give as much as possible back. And that's why I think we all have to be part of the solution, not just some.
This has been a wonderful program to be a part of. The implementation process is moving ahead. We're not nearly not nearly at our goal, but we are focused on the goal and the mission of improving the lives of children in this community, and the dollars that you have invested with this program are being well used.
I think it's successful because we've got the teachers who live in the area, who have been at Jones High School for years, who taught the mothers of the kids, who taught the fathers of the kids, who are great mentors, who are great role models, who know how to impact these kids, who know how to work with these kids, are down there every day working with the kids. A lot of times when we have programs, and when they bring programs into the schools, or whether they're outside of the schools, they often bring in people, individuals that fail to understand how important the relationship piece is with these kids. That's the biggest part. Because once you've built that piece in, everything else flies. Everything else is a win-win. It's different in that all the components are in place. The mentoring, the tutoring, agencies coming in, providing the kids with everything they need. It's a well-oiled machine, and that's why it's so successful. Other programs aren't as organized. The mission and the statement are often different from that of the schools. Our mission, our goal is to make sure every kid is successful. That's the goal of this program. Our goals are the same. Our mission is the same. That's why the program is so successful.
I've been fortunate in having had a lot of experiences that have allowed me to view life that has been different from that I was most familiar with. I would start with the Junior League of Orlando and some of the things I got involved in there. The Addition School Volunteer Program, which the year I was president, we sold the school board on and they eventually took over, but the whole purpose was to provide that extra help to the kids who needed it in school, to be you know, an added part of the and so that moving on became involved with the arts and all of that, but then healthcare particularly, and the homeless. I'd say I've spent a lot of years in both of those things. I spent a lot of time on hospital boards. I'm very familiar with the problems with access to healthcare and how difficult it is. And I think that's, when I think of children who can't get a dental appointment, who have to wait 3 months even in a clinic to get one, in the meantime they have a rotten tooth, or they're afraid to open their mouth and smile. I think that's scary. And you know, when you're young, your self-concept is so much a part of who you are. And for these young people, if they're embarrassed about something, they can't be all that they can be. And I think every child who's born ought to have the opportunity to maximize his or her potential, whatever that is. And that's what I would hope for every child in Orlando. And why I care about that, I'm not quite sure, but I just do, and I always have, and I think I always will.
Every business is having to look at their pennies, and it really comes down to pennies and dollars. What are we doing? Because we have to make sure that we are maintaining the health of our business, and that makes it harder to give to community programs. But I think it's incumbent, looking at the long-term health of a business, to understand what those pennies, what those dollars mean in terms of long-term investment in the community and in your individual business.
At Jones High School, and all the kids that I have, the parents and the grandparents attended Jones High School. Jones High School is one of the oldest high schools in the area, and it has always brought in kids and students from the Paramore area. So the history is there. And a lot of the teachers that teach at Jones High School, their parents taught at Jones High School. So the history is there. The parents, the teachers, the Paramore community, we've been a family for years. We've known each other for years. We've worked together for years. So that family atmosphere is there because it's been there for years. Jones High School in the Paramore area have always worked together. There's always been a bond there. There's always been, the history is there. So when we walk into the Paramore area, and we walk into the center every day, we're at home. We're at home. And eventually what will happen when we receive those kids, they're at home because we already know each other. The teachers have already met the kids. We have the brothers and sisters, and our teachers taught their grandparents, taught their parents or their grandparents, because Jones High School is one of the oldest high schools in the area.
Does that give you an edge?
Sure, it gives us an edge because we already know the family, we know the family makeup, we know what we're dealing with, and we know what we need to do to move forward.
I guess, you know, for the people I think who get out of the office and get to go visit with the kids in Paramore Kidz Zone, and just talk to one child and hear what is different in their life today compared to where it was 1-2 years ago, I think that's enough to make a company decide, I've got to invest in this program, because I know it's real. I know it's making a difference.
Children are more important than anything. I think children need to be a priority, not just for those of us who live in Orlando, but for all of us in this entire country. And I think the problems that children experience, sometimes because of their home environment, but also because of all of the conditions that surround that and affect every single aspect of their lives, from their education to their opportunities for social interaction to health care to opportunities to earn a living and live a productive life. All of those things are negatives that are not just negatives for those particular children, but if they're allowed to continue to exist, they're negatives for us as a country. And I think it's imperative that we make children a priority. And I think the Paramore Kidz Zone project has an opportunity to show how we can all make a difference. And I'm proud to be part of it.
What would you tell them?
Okay. The Paramore Kids Club is about everybody in this room. Every kid, whether they're from Paramore, it doesn't matter where they're from. They're our kids. They're our future. It's about us. It's about the family. It's about the village. And it's everybody's job to raise everybody's kid. We've sort of gone away from that. But it's everybody's job to raise everybody's kid. The Paramore Kids Club allows everybody, whether it's through tutoring, whether it's through mentoring, whether it's purchasing a book bag, whether it's spending 5 minutes with a kid at Paramore, to do their job and to do their part. And when I say their part in helping the kids from the Paramore area believe in themselves. It helps the kids from the area to see that everybody wants to see every child be successful. And it takes a village. It takes everybody. It takes everybody in the room to work together. But most importantly, it takes a room full of people that believe in Paramore and that believe in the Kids Club and that believe in these kids. We got to help everybody to move forward, to get through elementary school, to get through middle school, and then to get through high school. Because once we've achieved that, then those kids will want to come back and they'll want to give back. And it will stop the cycle of kids not graduating from high school or kids not moving forward. And everybody can assist with that. Like I said, the Paramore Kids Club, it evens the playing field, because what these kids are being given, what they are exposed to, allows these kids to become successful, to become doctors, to become lawyers, to attend, whether it's Cornell, to attend University of Florida, whether it's to attend Bethune-Cookman College. It teaches our kids one thing: we believe in you. Now it's your job to do the rest. Every day. And I talk with their parents every day. And the kids from Paramore, they aren't any different than anybody else. They all want to be successful. And it's my job, and I'm obligated, and I want to help every child to be successful.